as a nurse and midwife. My funny accent, if you're wondering, is from South Africa. So I did nursing, midwifery, and then a bunch of other postgrad nursing qualifications. Nursing education, administration, and what's the other, community health nursing. Then I went back into academia, so I did sociology for a few different courses, and finally my PhD in adult education and public health. So I come at this issue of bipolar from a rather different perspective than a lot of the patients. But when it struck, I was just like everybody else. I was completely derailed. And I remember the days, it was 11 years ago when it first started, but it's like yesterday. And I think my poor family, when we were preparing for tonight, it just brings back those feelings. Eh? It's trauma, really traumatic. So, just to begin and say, it's a real privilege. I've never expected this number of people. I'm really, really happy to see each one of you. And I know you're busy, you have 1,000 things to do, but you care enough to give it a go. So thank you for that. Quick overview of where we're going this evening. After a very brief icebreaker, we've already broken the ice a little bit, but very brief show of hands I'll do. I'll share the goal for the session, and then hopefully you'll be back. Rob and Tammy and I will share an incident from when I was really sick. And after us reflecting on that, we will break into small groups, and you will each get a little handout. Ooh, only made 20 copies. You will share handouts of scenarios that you might encounter as a caregiver. And if you happen to be a professional or whatever, you will think about what you would advise a patient to do coping with this kind of situation. After that, we'll come back to plenary, share ideas from the different small groups, and then have a Q&A/comments time at the end. Sound like a plan?
Yes.
What are they going to say? So, show of hands, friends. Please raise your hand if you happen to have bipolar disorder. Just the two of us?
I didn't hear the question.
If you have bipolar yourself.
Oh, I see. No.
So there's just two of us in the room, and we're not shy to say. Great. Raise your hand, please, if you're the family caregiver of somebody with bipolar. Bipolar. Okay, thank you. Now raise it if you're a family caregiver of somebody with a different mental illness. Okay, perfect. And finally, what if you work with people with mental health issues? Bunch of you. And some of us, I see, raised our hands about 6 times. Four times. 4 out of 4. Very good. Either way, very warm welcome. I don't care why you're here. Now, what's my goal in this session? First of all, to help you get inside the skin of somebody with bipolar disorder. In your case, a loved one or a patient who is experiencing an episode, whether it's the depression phase, a hypomania, the mania, even mania with psychosis. How do they feel? What's going on for them? Never mind what's going on for you. I understand that it's agony for you, but I want you to try and understand them. Why? So that you can better empathize with them and figure out the most productive responses that's going to get you through the crisis, that's going to move you in the right direction. Otherwise, you just stick. You're stuck. We want to keep, the goal is to keep your loved ones safe and preserve their dignity as far as possible. But equally important, if you're a caregiver, to preserve your own well-being and what's left of your sanity dealing with this person in that state. I know what I put my family caregivers through when I was so sick. Okay, he's not here, so we're going to wing it, Tams. Tammy's going to come up And we're starting to remember a moment. I was manic. I had been in the Douglas and was discharged for, it was about 5 days after I came home. This is all chronicled in that book, in the book that I wrote. So about 5 days after, come here, babe, you've got to be in the camera. So I started going really, really high. One morning, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, I haven't slept a wink, and Rob has been day after day going through this, is getting more and more, what would you say?
Irritable. Angry.
Very
resentful.
yes.
Yeah.
Very unlike him, right? Okay, he's normally a very gentle soul. So it's 5 in the morning, and I'm, for some reason, standing near the bed, and Rob has a tantrum. He pushes me down. You weren't there, so you don't know this. He pushes me onto the bed and says, "That fuck's hissing at me. For goodness sake, you're gonna get some sleep now." All he wants, of course, is to sleep himself. Now, can you make somebody go to sleep like that? So I'm furious, and I start kicking him. Kicking. He grabs the ankle. So I kick with the other ankle. Kick. Grabs both. So, of course, I start screaming. "Help! He's hurting me!" And then you enter.
So then I wake up, obviously, and then run into the bedroom, and my other sister was quickly behind me as well, and so I yelled at Rob, "Stop hurting her," and my sister Carrie grabbed him and took him to the other side of the bedroom so we could separate them, which we often had to do when she was manic. We had to keep them separated. And then, should I go on?
No, just go on.
Okay, so then I was with my mom, so I checked that she was okay, and I figured she would probably be overreacting a little bit, being overly dramatic, which she was, and that was good, and my sister was calming my dad down. And then...
How did it end?
I think, I don't know, Kara was talking to Rob. I don't know, what do you remember?
What I remember is that, to me, those incidents felt like an abscess that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it bursts, and I scream, shout, whatever, and then it's like, what abscess? What are you talking about? Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I had no problem after that. Just get him away from me, and now I'm fine. It's like, gone. So, my image is of the manic wave comes with these dreadful spikes, and each spike is a separate axis that has to burst on somebody. Sometimes you guys, I would call you terrible names, you know. Sometimes Tammy and her sister, whoever was at home, would get the brunt of it, but mainly Rob. So we thought about it and thought, how could we have prevented that ugly, ugly incident with physical violence? I mean, completely unlike us. How could we have prevented it? And you had a great suggestion.
Several.
Oh, sorry, several.
One easy thing is to ask you if you wanted, there he is, to ask you if you wanted to watch a TV show to distract yourself. She loves Netflix, so just getting her mind off of whatever was happening would be a very easy solution. You also were very into music when you were manic. You would get obsessed with particular songs and just listen to them on repeat for several hours. So if we didn't have access to a TV or an iPad or whatever, then putting her on her iPod.
With headphones.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You go into your own bubble and you don't care about these idiots who are irritating you. You just go into your own. You missed the show. Come on. Come. This is my dear husband, Rob, who we've just described being very violent and bad. Come in, Rob. You just have to be in the camera angle there.
Okay, very good.
Very good. So right now you were pushed away by Carrie, and my abscess has burst, and I'm feeling much better. We're looking for solutions to prevent. And Tammy has said, either
Movies.
put her on a
shows.
movie, put her on music.
Yeah.
You had another suggestion this afternoon.
Yes. Mia liked to, when she got manic, she would not want to be in the same bedroom as Rob, so she moved into the basement like a teenager and had her own kind of apartment down there. It was a small room, but she had a bed, and then beside the bed she made a little yoga mat for her yoga studio, and then the guitar was there and her music corner and stuff like that. So putting you down there sooner, I think.
Separating from the source of irritation. If you've got a guest room or a, you know, I could have even taken over your bedroom and you share with Carrie, whatever.
Yeah.
So get away from the, because these two were just rubbing so badly. Good. Rob, say something intelligent.
Well, the simple truth of the matter is that you can't reason with somebody who's manic. Or if they're depressed, the same thing. There's no chance to have any kind of discussion. So I guess treating them like that, what do they say, distract for a little child?
Yeah.
Whatever, but don't try and argue. I think there's a saying in Supu that says, don't argue with a mad person because somebody watching can't tell the difference. So that's, I mean, we used to say that as a joke, but this little joke came back to roost and became reality for me for a while. Some would say still is. But,
So back to my point, what would you have done to prevent me kicking you, or should you have pushed me on that bed?
you know, you have to
Oh, no, let's take it. It's being filmed.
just de-escalate the tension as best you can and forget about trying to control the irrational behavior. Merrill wanted to phone relatives in South Africa, you know, for them it was 3 a.m. in the morning, and not a good idea, but you know, let it be, let them phone. It's not going to, she's not going to hurt herself, but I think at that time we were still dealing with stigma, so I wasn't able to say, she's mad, it's okay. You know, I was still trying to pretend that this wasn't happening. So that's the other side, and it's in that place, you're almost a patient and you're learning.
That's true.
Yeah.
For the first long while. I'm just going to do a sidebar about this term mad. Why does she call her book Mad Like Me? Why does the husband say she's mad? I'm claiming that label. It's a very deliberate tactic, if you will. As part of stigma reduction, I'm saying it's okay. Yes, I'm mad, so deal with it, right? There's nothing to be ashamed of. Somebody else is black, somebody else is gay, somebody else is, you name it, whatever the stigmatized things have been in history. What?
Oppressed.
Yeah. Oppressed groups have, so it's grabbing that title and holding it for myself. I hope it's not shocking. If it is shocking, I apologize, but you call it what you want, but for me, it's a nice thing. It's comfortable. And I see you taking it on. I'm not sure that you're allowed to call me mad. I'm allowed to call you mad. Just kidding. He can call me what he likes, I guess.
It's better than crazy.
What?
Yeah.
What about if I was too anxious and, that's in the scenarios, I won't go there. That's one of the scenarios that's coming up. So I made a note here that this incident really pushed a wedge in our relationship. Our marriage took some really hard knocks in those early days. And then you said,
I didn't think so.
no. So that's weird. What is it with men? You push the woman on the bed, you grab her ankles, you're screaming at her. Oh no, that's fine. So, for me, it was a wedge. And he's still trying to get back in my good books. 11 years later.
Oh, all right.
That's what
Take note of that, yeah, all right.
I'm just kidding. So that's it. Anything else to add?
Well, obviously, if nothing is working, then call 911.
Okay, worst case scenario, if she's, if the person is going to hurt herself, run out in the snow, it was snowy at that time.
Without a coat,
Yeah, exactly. No coat, no shoes,
But
just running
the
out.
reality is that you call 911, an ambulance comes along with the police, and you get admitted to emergency via ambulance, which is different to being taken there by your own car. You're in a whole different category.
They take you much more seriously if you come in an ambulance.
And you don't get out very quickly.
Or by the police.
And if you don't like the place that they're going to take somebody, you're going to be quite reluctant to call 911. And I think, although we say just do it, because you're not managing the situation yourself. I
Yeah, you're
wasn't.
not coping.
Also wouldn't want to have inflicted another stay at the Douglas. I didn't find that a good place for anybody who needed help.
Healing, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you find most mental health areas are not, it's off?
Yeah.
I think it made the situation much worse.
You
Yeah.
know, like nice places and positivity brings healing, you know, and they're so gloomy
Yeah.
and
Dark and
Dark.
depressing.
and, you know, there's no mirrors, you can't even see yourself, and terrible beds, and it's just this whole.
My theory is that they have to break their patients down so as to be able to control them. That's what they do in the military when they conscript people.
Here we go.
It's the same,
Topic.
it's the same kind of thing.
Stay on
That's
topic.
what we are.
A South African survivor.
Not easy to call 911.
And if you read my book, you'll see that I found it wonderful. Everything in the Douglas I loved.
You were on so many meds.
I was so out of it.
Different.
I loved everything. Mainly because these buggers weren't there. I didn't have to deal with them. I was free as a bird. Happy, happy, happy.
And you were
So
mad.
don't feel too bad.
Yeah.
What's that, Dave?
And you were mad.
I was mad. But seriously, my memories are very, very positive.
Oh my.
It's weird, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny how
Very weird.
different the
My son
perspectives
came
are.
out with post-traumatic stress
Oh,
disorder.
shame. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were some of the fellow patients were, screaming nonstop kind of thing. I think you were lucky to have such
I was
a
lucky.
good experience, but yeah.
Anyway, lots of tales to tell. They're in there. Can we stop?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, we didn't mention get her to swallow a pill.
Oh, yeah.
Most of your patients will have something prescribed, and if they don't, for goodness sake, get it. A Zyprexa, fast-acting, or a Seroquel, something that, or a Zopiclone, knock them out. If they will swallow it. This is a challenge, and my advice to these guys was ask the kids, please take the pill, Mom. Don't let him try and put a pill down our throat. I would have sent him packing, spat it out, whatever. But if the kids had really begged me, I think I would have, just for them. So pills, I'm just looking at my notes quickly. Cajole, Netflix we mentioned. Yeah, that's good. Have any of you ever hired a caregiver just to get you over a week of drama? Like a short-term, a VON nurse maybe? Have you ever tried such a thing? I know finances is an issue, but it struck me that I would have been on my best behavior with a stranger rather than, I treated these people really badly. You say your worst for your nearest and dearest. But I think if we'd had somebody from outside coming in just to watch me while they slept and then take shifts or whatever, it could have worked. Even just for 2 or 3 nights, they were exhausted. So, if I were to wrap up, it would be to say, much of what we've discussed tonight applies to all kinds of mental illnesses, not just bipolar. This respect for the person, this compassion for the caregiver, all of that applies to everybody.
He has to go.
Number 2, when I started life as a nurse, I thought thought I was so together and so above all that stuff, this mental illness stuff. I thought I had my life together.
Right.
And I'm going to look at my nurse and my professionals here. Nobody is above that. The only thing you can do is to take care of your own mental health. Now we say, go to the gym every day. I say, go to the mental health gym every day. Do something that's going to strengthen your chances of staying healthy, of staying sane. If it's, as I mentioned, meditation, exercise, calling a friend and going for a coffee and a chat. I don't care what it is, something that nurtures you, journaling, coloring, art therapy, I don't care what. Take care of your own mental health, or you, like me, will cross over that very thin line between mental health on the one hand and mental illness on the other. And once you've crossed that line, it's very hard to find your way back. Not impossible. Number 3, I wanted to say, very sweet. The second last thing is, if you're a bipolar patient like me, oh, he's just left. So I'll forget that point. I was going to say give us a round of applause, because it's a big step to take responsibility for your own mental health. And he's clearly doing it, I'm clearly doing it, I hope your son.
Actually, I know him
There you go.
before he was diagnosed.
Ah, there you go. But the final thing is to say, if you're a family caregiver, or striving to become one, even at a distance, that's giving care, okay? So if you are one of those people, give yourselves a huge round of applause, because the hidden work you do is very undervalued in society, but it's hugely appreciated by at least me, if not your loved one. So thank you.